Hello, bloomers. Welcome once again. Patterns is often said that patterns don't lie, they rarely lie. The flow and the systematic way that people operate, if you study them and understand them, then you will not miss critical signs that will help to guide you and protect you from making mistakes. Today, we want to talk about the patterns that you need to look out for to identify before you found yourself down the rabbit hole, to identify someone who will be a potential abuser. Now, Dina Macmillan said something very critical about abuse. In her words, abuse in a relationship is a process that thrives on the insecurities of the victim. I'll say that again. It is a process, and it thrives and feeds and sustains itself. Abuse sustains itself on the insecurities of the victim. Now, when you're cooking, or let's say baking, for instance, you know how it is when you watch cooking channels. They tell you mix in the dry ingredients in one bowl, mix in the wet ingredients in one bowl, and then after all of that, you mix everything together. You prep your oven, you put it on a certain temperature, and then you mix everything. You grease your pan, you pour in the dough and the mixture, and that's the process. That's the process. Or for those who are acquainted with gardening, you don't just take a seed and you open the ground and you just dump it in and you close it. No, you have to weed. You have to mix in the soil. You have to choose a time of day with which to plant that seed. That is a process. So for those who are acquainted with abusive patterns, or those who have ingrained in them traits and characters of abuse, it is a process. So identifying this process is very critical, because they don't just bounce on the first day they meet you and start playing out their abusive tendencies. No, if they do that, they know you're going to run. So what they do, they prep you. They prep their victim. Okay, so one of the ways, so we're going to talk about three major things that help you to identify, or that shows you the pattern and the process that comes into play when abuse is about to take place or going to take place. The number one thing in this step is grooming. Number one thing here is grooming. Now, someone out there needs this video, so I need you to subscribe, I need you to like, and I need you to share. And if you have any thoughts, just leave it in the comment section, and I'll get right back to you. So what is grooming? Grooming is a scripted behavior, like you watch the movies and people come and they play out an amazing role and take on this amazing character. Grooming is scripted. It is often something that someone had used over time, seen its success or failure, and have trimmed it over time to make sure that they become better at what they do. The singular purpose of grooming is to lower your boundaries, lower your sensitivities, weaken your sense of alertness. Why? Increase that emotional bond and emotional attachment that victim will have with the potential abuser, making it difficult for victim to do what? To identify red flags when they start to come up, because they will come up at some point. So when those red flags, when those bad behaviors start to come up, because they have intoxicated you, because when you are intoxicated, you can't make the right decision. There's a reason why you were advised not to drink and drive, because your sense of perception, your sense of cognitive decision making, your sense of alertness and responsiveness is greatly weakened when you are under the intoxication of alcohol. The same thing happens here. This person grooms you, the victim in such a way that they become intoxicated with what they are doing to them and for them, that they lack the ability to act on the red flags when they start to show up. They work to gain the trust of their victim. Often they share something very intricate about themselves. They say things like, I'm beginning to trust you, and I really do see that. I see myself in you, and I see that you are, and they tell you something. I see that you match me in certain ways. There's something I want to tell you that I don't tell people, and I haven't told anyone before, and they give out a little secret. This telling on self is very, very critical. It's a go-to. It's a go-to skill that they have. What is the abuser trying to do here? They are on a reconnaissance streak. If you know what reconnaissance is, those who do investigations, they use it a lot. When a spy is in a nation, they blend within the community. They take on names, take on identities, take on the culture. They become so one with that community, and they begin to put themselves in situations and around people who can give them sensitive information about the country. So they're gathering information. They are gathering intelligence about you, about the abuser's life, about the victim's life. So if, for instance, while they're having this conversation, because he has let off something very delicate, the victim feels, okay, I need to also tell something delicate. So let's say the victim says stuff like, oh, I have also been in relationships, and I was in one, I was there. He cheated on me several times. I stayed because I trusted him and I really thought we could make it work. You know what the abuser is thinking in his head? Oh, if I feed her and if I breadcrumb her and I give her doses of what she wants, I could possibly get away with cheating on her. You've given him something to work with, or her something to work with. Or if you tell them, look, I don't tolerate cheating. This is what I expect. I expect this from my man. The man's like, okay. What they do, they go into acting mode. They start to act out all of these things. And in your head, you're like, oh, he's a perfect person. Everything I ever wanted, he does it the way I want it. But you fed into the system, and the system is giving back to you what you fed into it. That is not the true identity of that person. So what they would do, they say, okay, maybe this person, I might not do it in her face, but I can do certain things behind her back, and I would know how to portray it. Or if you tell them that perhaps you were taken advantage of intimately when you were younger, if anything comes up in the future, you have given them a certain insecurity that you have. That experience that you had when you were younger, whether it's from somebody who is very close to you, or whether it was in school, or whatever the situation is, and maybe because of that you have insecurities about your body, about people looking at you in certain ways. The next thing you do when they have issues with you, they throw it at you. And that was how you behave. Maybe, who knows, maybe that's how you were so low and so cheap. That's why they took advantage of you. They feed on your insecurities. Because I know that we somewhat want to trust the person that we are with. We want to trust them. We want to tell them intimate parts of ourselves. But there are some things that you should leave for coaches and psychologists and your psychiatrists and your mental health persons. There are some things you shouldn't share with someone that you want to spend your life with until such a time in that relationship where you have seen the character and the quality of this person. Until then, keep your mouth shut. Never let things get to the next part that we want to talk about now. Because if you do not remove yourself from the grasp of this individual in stage one, when you were sensing these things, and you do not divorce yourself, remove yourself, disengage yourself from this relationship, from this particular phase, the next phase we're going to talk about is a dangerous phase that if you allow things to get to at this stage, you might just be hooked, and it could go downhill from there. What stage is this? Which is very difficult to come back from. As a psychological manipulation stage. This is dangerous waters. This can vary significantly. Smooth talking, quick and overwhelming shows of affection, love bombing. We're used to that word now. Everything happens too soon, too quickly, too fast. and too intimately. They're all over you. And you feel, oh, nobody has really loved me like this. They always want to be around me. They're always checking my phone. Where are you? You know, I can bear losing you. I can bear sharing you with somebody else. And you're getting high. You think, oh, this must be love. You hear me now? This must. You're being manipulated. They're praising you. Everything you do, they can't find any fault. This this phase is a very, very, very fantastical phase. It's a fantastical feeling. The feeling that you were just too much, flawless. They praise you, all of your achievements, praise everything you do, just too much. They heap praises on you. They talk about your strengths and your achievements. They talk about your style of dressing. Oh, you look beautiful today. The way you're dressed, the way you are this, the way you are that. All of those things that put you on a high. That's you're sniffing on something. You're becoming high. You're becoming intoxicated. At this stage, they don't want you to carry out your emotional or personality due diligence. You are so busy being pumped, 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 pumped. You're not even taking the time to really observe this person that is pumping you to find out, are there things that because this stage is supposed to be looking out for telltale signs, because you were so high on his supply, you don't have the time to pause and dig deep and see, who am I really dealing with? This stage is very effective and is very dangerous, especially for people who have, we talked about insecurities, who have certain insecurities or bad breaks in relationships. So this person knows the experiences that you've had in a relationship. So they're trying to fill up all the gaps that you did not have in previous relationships. And for a moment, you're like, finally. You should watch out, and you should watch and be alert. Many women who have strong, many men and women who have strong, intelligent, well-schooled, well-exposed, they have fallen and found themselves falling at this stage of, at this pattern and this stage of this relationship process. It's difficult to break away at this point. The more one exposes themselves to these individuals, the deeper they fall into that hole. These tricks and approach is quite effective. And those who have never had someone close in their life speak especially positively to them. So when they finally find someone who is doing this, they get carried away. Now, the perpetrator seeks to monitor every move that they are making. Like I said, they want to make you feel that without you, they are nothing. Their lives have been complete since they found you. Every call has to be a video call. Every sound at the background, who's that person? Put the camera, I want to see who the person is. You feel like, oh, he loves me. Jealousy is a good thing. You better be careful what stage of jealousy you're dealing with. If at any time during the interaction, the victim wants to pull away at this stage, two things are likely to happen. The one thing, either of two things are likely to happen. They will either be met with emotional emotional rage, and then at the end of the day they come back to say, you were the one who made me, you know how I feel about you, that's why I responded the way I responded. Or they start to cry, don't do this to me, I can't stand it when you're away from me, I could self delete myself if you ever leave me. And some people actually think it's a compliment. As somebody is saying that they want to self-delete themselves if they ever leave them. He must really, and you tell somebody, say he must really love you. What? That's not love. So it's either that or they get very, so it's a push and pull effect. It's a push and pull effect. Okay? They're feeding you with stuff, feeding you with stuff, feeding you with stuff, feeding you with stuff. You're getting carried away. So you need to be very careful. Have you liked it? You need to like. It's turning out to be a long video, but I need to get number 3 in very quickly. Have you liked it? Please like. Someone really needs to see this so that it can help them. By the time you get to this third phase, you are hooked and invested. You are hooked. Yeah, you are at the point where you start to make excuses for everything. And this stage, you're already separated from anyone who could help you get back clarity, because at this stage, what we're going to get into now, you lost your sense of clarity. You've lost your sense of perception. You've lost your sense of identity. You've taken on the identity of the perpetrator, of the abuser. The third stage is isolation. The intention is to separate you, to separate the abuser, the abused, from that support system that the abused has. Family, friends, loved ones. It starts with showing signs of overjealousness, overly critical. Everyone around you is bad. Oh, this person, this person is jealous of you. They don't like you. This person is this person. I know we're supposed to protect our relationships, but at some point, it gets dangerous. It's a mind game. Everyone around you is bad. They are the only ones that have the best interest at heart. They're the only ones who understand you, who gets you. Because of this charming way, they could, in a few of their victims, because of this charming way that they have been able to, one by one, chip away, one by one, chip away all of your defenses. Now you are just standing alone. No one around you, only them. Always in your ear, telling you everyone is bad. Everyone wants to separate us. Everyone wants to take you away from, separate us from each other. Everyone don't have, I'm the one that has the best interest at heart. And if it's in a marriage, of course, the husband and the wife are supposed to have the best interest. But do they always? And sometimes they even charm those around you. Those around you are recruited. He sweet talks all of them. So you can never be able to fully express or share what you are going through, because everyone will be like, we don't see that in him. They are also fooled. They're also blown away by his charm. So that any complaints that you have, the default is, oh, forgive him. Poor guy. What did you do? Love him more. Cook more. Show him more styles in the bedroom. Any attempt to leave will be met with a variety of tactics, tantrums, threats to self-harm. I said it already in the psychological part. Withhold affection, or they could withhold financial aid, or they could go around blackmailing or reputational damage, or victim blaming like gaslighting. These are all the playbooks that they use. Deep down inside, they do not believe that you have the right to leave them, or that you have the will to leave. Because they have come to believe that they have embedded so deeply into the victim's life and head and psyche that that person is not going to be able to live without them. So if you do leave, they might not call or plead with you to come back because of pride, because they're thinking, oh, he can't survive without me. They'll come back. And if you ever go back, they become even much more aggressive than they were in the first experience. They try even worse tactics on you. Or if they ever hear that you were dating somebody else, they come back and they want to get you back. They never bothered to call all this while because they felt you were going to come back. But then they find out that you're about to move somewhere else. Somebody else is about to, no way. Then you see a dangerous part of them. They might come back begging to get you back, or they might come back aggressively trying to get you back. Now, this is my advice to you. Note for a fact that it is more likely that if you go back to that relationship, you might never come back. If you go, stay gone. You might never come out still breathing. The only remedy for abuse is an awakened consciousness. Never, ever put the keys to your happiness in the hands of someone else. Thank you for listening. I've come to the end. We'll talk about how to live safely in our next episode. Until then, keep shining.